Are we?
Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Liberty Libations number 50. We've hit half a century mark. How about that? Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. My name is Jake Green, joined by Alden, Stephen, Zane, and coming back to the show as another guest, Mr. Suhas Gumadi.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Got it. Okay. Well, y'all, we've reached 50 episodes. How crazy is that?
It's wild.
Yeah.
They
I don't know
say
how
that
many. What's that, Zane?
more than half of podcasts never make it past episode 7, so we're well past that point.
I think it's 80% don't make it past 7 and 50% don't make it past 1.
Okay.
Which
is that a real
yes, it's
number?
a real statistic.
Wow.
Yeah. There's so many podcasts out there that put out one thing, realized this is absolute crap, and never did it again.
There's a lot of mal-podcasting going on.
Yeah. Which, about 20 episodes into this show, I really thought about quitting because of how much this show sucked. But hey, we're still here. So.
Glad you're still with us, Jake.
The quality didn't improve. We just got more determined.
Fair enough. All right, y'all. Let's talk about LP Georgia before we get started. If you are interested in the Libertarian Party, what we believe in, what we're doing around the state of Georgia, you can go to lpgeorgia.com. Zach, let's pull that up on screen. How do we get that? There we go. lpgeorgia.com to learn more. If you are not in the state of Georgia, go to lp.org to learn about Libertarian Party National, where your affiliates are, all that kind of stuff. So coming up in January, our 2024 convention down in Conyers, Georgia. Tickets are on sale right now, $75 until December 6th, when it jumps all the way up, just skyrockets up to 85. Just really, really goes up. So get your tickets now. Let's see. They finally put the speakers on here. How about that? We got some familiar faces. We got Spike Bazooka Jew Cohen. We have Shane Hazel, Sara Higdon, Adam Nutter, Edgar Mills, the Tower Gang Pod, and we also have, I think, 5 of the 5 presidential candidates for the Libertarian Party showing up to do a debate. So,
Wow.
get your tickets now.
Going to be there?
So yeah, get your tickets now. It's gonna be a fun time. We always have a lot of booze, a lot of cool folks coming, selling stuff, displaying things. My company will likely be there displaying the documentaries and things that we do. So yeah, all right. Stephen, Zane, Alden, anything to update us on from this past week, libertarian wise or personal wise?
I would say libertarian-wise, everybody, at least in my wheelhouse, seems to be upset about property taxes all of a sudden. Because they're in escrow, and you forget about them until November, and then you get this nice little statement saying, "Hey, by the way, we took this much out of your escrow this year. Thank you."
Yep.
And so now everyone's pissed off because it's, it went up. Anywhere from 15 to 30% seems to be the norm around here. But that's the third year in a row it's gone up 20%. In most places. So
yeah, that is ridiculous. And I was wondering why we were getting so many hits. We're going to talk about this a little later, but we're getting a lot of hits on one specific clip we put out from last week's show. So we'll talk about that a little later. Suhas, welcome back on screen, buddy.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
What's everybody drinking? If you are drinking,
Buffalo Trace.
Oh, nice. I've got a Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest.
Okay.
I know it's November, but get off me. These are great.
I also have a beer, but no one cares.
Fair enough.
I've
Zane?
got some Southern Comfort here.
Okay.
Figured that might handicap me a little bit more in trivia than when I just have a beer.
Yeah, he does drop a peg when he's on a cocktail.
This is a good question that someone besides me can answer. Zach, do you know the answer to how does someone sponsor convention and make liberty cool again? That second thing I feel like is much harder than the first thing. Yeah, I don't know. Zach, do you know the answer to this question?
Yeah, we're going to put out an email about that soon, laying out all the details. So if you're not on email list, go to lpgeorgia.com/sign up and look out for that.
There we go.
But generally, it's just, $200 will get you a booth there, a table, and then we have all sorts of other sponsorship opportunities like ad space in the brochure, logos on the screensaver, just getting your brand out in front of other like-minded people. But the best way to hear about all that, follow us on social, get on our email list, because that's where all the information is going to go out.
Sweet. All right, so there it is. So Jared, you asked a question that I couldn't answer, so thank you for that. Let's see, I was about to say something, but now I'm drinking Lagavulin 16 tonight. So
Nice.
Yes, it is
Ron Swanson's drink
Ron-
of choice.
Ron Swanson. Yes. Suhas, you got a drink tonight?
No, I already got hammered last night. So.
Perfect.
Need some hair of the dog.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's go into our first story of the night. Zach, pull it up. All right. For anybody who doesn't know who Mr. Beast is, he is the most subscribed to YouTube channel on the planet. He has over 100 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. He has multiple different YouTube channels. He is just crazy successful, and he does a lot of crazy things, makes crazy videos with like really intense challenges. And he decided to go build 100 wells in Africa, in Kenya, and I think like 5 other countries over there. And somehow people are finding him, are criticizing him for doing so. They're basically calling him a white savior, like having white savior syndrome or whatever crap that they tend to put out there. So yeah, any first thoughts on this before we get to some of the criticisms?
So I have a thought on it. I actually just read it before, like before I got on the podcast. But what it talked about was that Mr. Beast was trying to push the stereotype that Africa's dependent on aid. I was like, it is dependent on aid. What are they talking about? Like 2/3 of the extreme poverty around the world is located in Africa. Right. And so now I'm not saying all the aid works. I don't think all of it works, but I think they're trying to take a good thing that he's done and try to somehow manipulate it into a narrative that fits their worldview.
Yes, that's exactly right. And to be fair, okay, before we get too like depressed about people criticizing him, most people are praising him and thanking him for doing this. It's a very small minority.
They're loud. Yeah.
They're just always loud. The distinctive minority is always loud. So, go to the next webpage, Zach, because this is one of the guys. I believe he is a senator, some type of politician in Kenya, and he's calling him out for being. If you go down to where the video is, I think you can see his face. I think it's Francis Gatho. Yeah, right there. So basically, we're not watching this 10-minute video, but he's basically saying the same thing that you just said, which was he's calling him out for continuing stereotypes about Africa, and like we can handle it ourselves, and you should be calling out the politicians and not just helping people. Basically a whole bunch of stuff that you would only really say if you had a giant ego that you couldn't shake, in my opinion, at least. But let's talk about how this is like a perfect example of capitalism and free market capitalism. Because I think that's a huge thing. A huge thing about this is where governments fail, individuals can step in and fix things.
Well, I know I was way less likely every time I saw Sally Struthers on a commercial and she'd gained another 50 pounds. I was way less likely to give my 35 cents a day because she's eating all that food, bro. So, at least with this guy, I mean, you can see it in action. The money's going straight into the well. I mean, he's building it on a live stream.
Yeah.
So, you're actually seeing what your dollars are going for. Also UNICEF. Everybody that grew up in the 50s. God, get my dad started on this too. Trick or treat for UNICEF.
Yeah, Grumpy is exactly right. The government is mad because they failed to do that. And yes,
right.
That is one of the reasons.
If they were doing a good job, then presumably they wouldn't need someone to come in. So it like highlights it, a shortcoming.
Yes. And it's not like he only does good things in Africa. Like he does crazy good things for the people of this country as well.
Would we rather him do bad things? Like or nothing, or just hoard your wealth? Like what? I don't get
the people whining are the ones who like want him to get political and want him to use his influence to like tell Joe Biden he's failing and tell Donald Trump he's failing. But like, what good would that do? Like probably nothing.
He knows that it would divide his audience rate in half, and he's got 100 million people or whatever, and then it would be 50. Like,
exactly,
because we live in a world where we can't live in nuance, and so if you start getting political, it becomes a bubble on one side. Like
now, if we can convert him to libertarianism, that would be ideal.
Yeah, I was making an assumption there.
It's kind of a message to do nothing podcasters such as ourselves that maybe instead of talking about politics all the time, we should actually do something concrete that really helps people.
I'm gonna,
and now I'm going to talk about politics again and help nobody. But it's what Ron Paul always says about foreign aid, that it's taking from the poor people of rich countries and giving to the rich people of poor countries. When states attempt to do foreign aid, even if they're actually trying to do something good, the overhead costs are ridiculous. They always spend it on all the wrong things, just as you would expect them to. And half the time it's corrupt from the beginning, and it just goes to whatever tin pot dictator is in charge. But, Mr. Beast's video, you can see that he has the money and it goes right into building the well. And you can see that, at the end of the video, there are 100 wells that are all doing what they're advertised to do. And Mr. Beast, I have a lot of respect for him because I listened to part of a show that he did on Rogan, and he was like, "Yeah, we make a lot of money from all these videos, but I don't personally get that much money from it because every time we're getting all the money from one video, we're dumping it right into the next video." So he takes big risks on all of his videos because he essentially takes all the money he got from the previous video to make the next one. Like even the ones that aren't his charitable videos, they do crazy stuff. Like, I can see why his channel is so popular. And everybody who's criticizing him about this, it's just the Marxist viewpoint is that everything inside the state, nothing outside the state. So if you're taking, individual action, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to only take action within the state because the state is everything. And anything that goes against that is something that they don't like.
Spencer says something interesting. He's already had his fill with politics due to the attacks on his trans friend.
That's true.
I know nothing about that. So
I know the story. So like he had I think his name, well, it used to be he, but like his name was Chris, I think. And he was already married and had one kid, but he eventually transitioned and now identifies as a woman. And so that's kind of become political now because now his wife has divorced him. And so, and now some people are saying, well, he's just, pursuing his happiness. And then the other people are saying, well, he's doing a bad thing because he's abandoning his wife and his kids and his kid really needs him to be a father. So that's where people are politically split right now.
How is that political at all? Like, how is that a politics? That's like a
I don't get
people make it political.
That's so frustrating.
That something becomes political as soon as people start trying to use the state to make people go one way or the other. So this is my pet peeve about everything that people claim. Why are we making this political? Why don't we just do like when people say, why are we making this political? What they usually mean is, why are people debating me? We should just do exactly what I want. And so the stuff with, why is the transgender issue political? It's because we've got, lots of people that are trying to influence the curriculum of the government schools to teach a perspective about, transgenderism. That,
Right.
whichever way you pick, you're going to have half the country that doesn't want it.
Well,
And so it has to be political because you're deciding what is being taught at a school that you are being stolen from to pay for.
Right. I understand why that's political. What I don't understand is why a random guy on a YouTube channel's marriage has anything to do with getting political. Just stop commenting on people's personal lives.
Well, because once politics so infests the culture at the political level, then it ruins the entire rest of the culture that nobody can think about anything else but politics, and make a bunch of stuff that doesn't really need to be about politics be about politics, because we have made politics everything.
Oh my gosh, that is just depressing. I'm sad now.
Well, see, talking about the whole, white savior thing in Africa, did they say the same about Bill Gates several years ago?
Oh, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
So he shows up, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and this is a prime example of, these impoverished African nations. Yes, they do rely heavily on aid, but their values, their culture is not for sale. It's not compromisable. So Bill Gates shows up. I'm thinking mainly about Uganda in particular. So he shows up with clean water and mosquito nets, and they're like, "Hey, welcome aboard, friend. Thank you. Glad to have you." And then not too long after that, he starts pushing, condoms. And they're like, "Okay, whatever." But then he's like, "It's okay to be gay. It's, abortions are okay." And that's when Uganda was like, "Get out." Seriously, because that and some of the immunizations he was passing out might have been, actually spreading the things they were supposed to prevent.
That's what I was going to bring up, is that at least the wells are doing good.
Yeah, he Mr. Beast brought them life-saving water, and Bill Gates is injecting them with something that might actually kill you or harm you.
Well, yeah, well, and
it did in that
lots
case,
of them before they finally kicked him out. But still, it's where was the pressure on him of you're just trying to be the white savior, Mr. Former richest man on the planet.
Yeah, it probably has a lot to do with American. Yeah,
it's that he pays hundreds of millions of dollars to media corporations. Maybe
that's definitely part of it. Another part of it would be how he became rich and powerful, because I don't think Mr. Beast gets the respect from the general public, and especially from the older generation, that he absolutely should.
Mr. Beast also hasn't been on the Epstein flight list
that we know of.
No,
I haven't seen his name anywhere on there. But
I would be willing to go out on a limb and say that your average 13-year-old would be much more likely to recognize Mr. Beast than Bill Gates. Yes. So it depends on what your definition is of the general population.
I was referring to the media and people older than us. By us, I mean me.
The median age,
because everybody's older than you, Zane. All right,
except me,
except Sue Haas. This was another critique. Albert Nat Hyde, who I have no idea what he's about, but he described the entire African continent. This is what he's saying about Mr. Beast. He described the entire Africa as a village with its people living in huts. He projected that all Africans lack good drinking water. Wells in 2023 is offensive. Why not boreholes or pipe-borne water? Africans do not need water donation. We ain't that poor and thirsty. Africa is a continent with 54 countries. He must be specific where he went. This is capitalism. He want to low-key use these countries for profit. He has set Africans for global ridicule by building wells we never asked him for.
Can we do a poll?
Yeah.
Okay, look. This is the community notes. He describes certain villages as containing huts. I already watched the video, so he absolutely said that. He projected that many Africans lack safe drinking water, which is factual at 29%. Well is an easier term to understand. He specified what countries and when he moved to them. This is speculation, and no, he has not.
So the thing about the point is about him saying this is capitalism. He's right. This is capitalism. What socialists cannot get through their dense heads is that the core of capitalism is that both parties can profit by the same transaction. When they use profit as like a curse word or something that's to be avoided.
Yeah.
When the measure of how much profit you're making is actually a measure of how socially useful you're being to the rest of the population, which of course socialists wouldn't want because they're never useful to the rest of the population.
Does that always correlate with being socially useful though? I don't know that it always does, but
Just because socially useful doesn't necessarily mean it's good for people. So, like,
okay, it just provides
like
a
reality
service.
TV is socially useful because it gives people something to talk about in some way to feel better about their own lives. But it's generally a like giant degradation on society.
And a lot of these things are consumed but addicting or whatever. But
what I mean by that is that if you make a profit, that means that you turned some inputs that cost not as much money, and you turned those things into outputs that were worth more money to people. So, like if if you're building a house and you consume $50,000 worth of inputs, but then you sell the house for $100,000, that means that you transform something that was less valuable into something that was more valuable. And in fact, you transformed it into something that somebody thought was even more valuable than $100,000 because they were willing to part with $100,000 to buy that house from you, which means that they preferred the house to the $100,000. So you made money, and the person you sold the house to also is better because of the transaction. This is the core of capitalism, where no transaction can be entered into unless both parties believe that they will benefit from it.
Zane is on a roll today. Do you just want to take the rest of this episode, man?
So, like, I mean, with the wells, yes, Mr. Beast makes the money from the video because people want to watch him make the wells, but 100 African villages now get the water from the wells. This is what whoever tweeted that apparently is completely unwilling to understand.
A non-zero sum game. Yeah.
There we go.
Well,
Zach
socialist
says,
is what Charles Murray would call on the left side of the IQ distribution.
Zach says he was surprised to see pics of one of his college friends' family in Africa, and they literally live in huts. Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Zane plus Soko equals fire. I do dig it, Zane. That bourbon's putting something in your belly, man.
Wait. We cannot call Soko bourbon though.
Okay, what is it called then?
I don't know, but it's Soko. It's not bourbon. Have you tasted it? It's its own thing.
I tasted it because somebody forced me to at SCAD, and it was terrible.
It's awful, yeah.
It's a blended bourbon.
It tastes like cherry cough medicine. It's bad.
Yeah,
but I like
says
when
it's
Zane
nice.
drinks it though, so he's allowed to drink it.
Yeah, Zane, you're allowed to drink it because it makes you even more awesome than you already were. All right, y'all. Before we go any further, it's time. All freaking right.
Zane's
just
gonna win it.
realized-
We already know.
I just realized I spelled Aladdin wrong. I think it's one L and two D's, but whatever.
Hang on one second, y'all.
That must have been why Jake mispronounced it to rhyme with paladin.
That was my first clue.
Yeah, something like that. Hang on, y'all. I'm trying to get the that gum. I had a way to get the scoreboard up this week. But I can't, for some reason, figure it out. Well, that sucks. I had it all set up, and now it's not connecting.
I'll just hold up a sheet of
whatsoever.
paper.
That's so frustrating. Okay, whatever. All right. It is time for Libations Trivia. Here we go. Everybody knows the rules. We're not going to go over them. It's this day in history, the Cold War, and the last
Dogs.
category is dogs.
I know nothing about dogs.
Wait, hot dogs or like dogs or
Just dogs. Just dogs. I was trying to think of a third category. I was sitting there for 5 minutes staring at my phone. I saw my dog, and I was just like, okay, dogs.
my dog pooped on the floor, and I was like, okay, dogs, like whatever.
Zane is currently just way ahead of everybody with 12. Nick and Alden have 4. Steve has 3. The guest has 2, and the audience has 1. Round one, this day in history. Sorry, y'all. I really want to see if I can get my dad gum. Nope, that's not going to work. Dadgummit. F this thing. Okay.
Too funny.
If Alden holds the score, he has to wear a bikini, according to Zach. All right. Question number one. On this day in 1938, one of the defining moments leading up to the Holocaust occurred in Germany and Austria. What was it called? Alden.
Kristallnacht.
Kristallnacht is
yeah.
correct. All right. I have to move my scoreboard
You
now.
said
Berlin
that with such
Wall also
enthusiasm.
What? What'd you
Which
say,
one,
Zane?
Jake or me?
Nah, never mind.
Yeah.
It won't be funny if I have to say it again.
Fair enough.
I hear you. Yeah.
Question number two. On this day in 1990, which legendary country singer had his assets seized by the IRS? Zane.
Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson is correct. Bravo, Zane. All right. Question number three. On this day in 1965, one of the largest power outages in history occurred in New York and 7 surrounding states. What was it called? I believe Suhas was first.
Oh no, sorry. I just thought you were gonna ask what city.
Zane, I think you were next.
I also thought you were gonna say New York City, but also I'll guess. Since we were just talking about country music, I'll say the night the lights went out in New York.
Alden.
It's the 1965 New York blackout, right? Like,
I mean, that's what happened, but that's
it's
not
what you're
it's called.
describing, but okay.
Steven, you got
That's
a
all
guess?
I've heard.
The Long Island blackout.
Nope. Y'all aren't gonna get this one. If y'all didn't get it the first time, I'm not. There's no hints that I could give that would help. So
The day
the Great Northeast Blackout is what it's known as. On this day, let me go to the next one. On this day in 1970, the Supreme Court refused to rule on the legality of what event? Zane.
The Kent State Massacre.
Incorrect. On this day in 1970, the Supreme Court refused to rule on the legality of what event? Alden.
farting in an elevator.
No, that's already been judged.
Steven said something.
Steven.
Gay marriage.
Incorrect. Suhas, the floor is yours.
Let's see. Refused to what event? Busing.
Wedding?
Busing.
No. Incorrect. All right. The hint is it was not a domestic event. Suhas.
Vietnam War.
The Vietnam War is correct.
Nice.
Yep, they flat out, Massachusetts took it to the Supreme Court, trying to force them to call it an illegal war.
Right.
And they refused to even hear the case.
That was the Supreme Court's version of we can neither confirm nor deny. Like,
Correct. It's,
Wow.
I mean, it's horrendous. Yeah. On this day in 1989, what significant barrier was opened up in Europe? Alden.
Berlin Wall.
The Berlin Wall is correct. All right. Question number 6. On this day in 1862, who took command of the Union Army? Zane.
McClellan.
Incorrect. Suhas.
German.
No. Steven.
Suhas took my guess, but let's see here.
There will be a hint after Steven and Alden guess.
Oh man, that I don't have it.
All right,
What year?
Hang on.
1862.
1862. Yeah.
Custer?
No. His Buddy's absolutely correct.
Your
It's your
mom.
mom.
Yeah.
His last name became synonymous with a type of facial hair. Zane.
Burnside.
What's his first name?
Ambrose.
You're darn right.
Okay.
General
That's where
Ambrose
sideburns comes
earned-
from?
Yes, it is. He had
I didn't know that.
massive sideburns, like big
Nice.
old sideburn. Ridiculous. He looked so dumb. On this day in 1996, Evander Holyfield won the heavyweight boxing championship by scoring a technical knockout of which legendary boxer? I think Alden was first.
Tyson.
Mike Tyson is correct. Bravo.
And now he's selling chocolate ears with weed in them.
Really?
Yes.
So he's gone up in the world.
Wait, Holyfield or Tyson is?
Tyson is.
Okay.
But Holyfield endorsed him. He got Holyfield to come on and do a commercial.
I need to see that commercial.
That is interesting.
Hilarious. On this day in 1985, who became the youngest world chess champion at 22 years old? Suhas.
Gary Kasparov.
Gary Kasparov
Nice.
is correct.
If you didn't get that one, I was gonna have you removed from the show.
I was so close to beating him too. I should have met him. But, you know,
Wow.
I didn't do it.
Okay, you
You
got
say-
a chess fan in the room.
Did you
All
say
right.
beating him or meeting him?
Meeting him.
Oh, I was like, beating him. I was like, that's a big thing.
No.
All right. On this day in 1984, which legendary horror character was introduced to the world through a Wes Craven movie? Alden.
Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger is correct. All right. Final question of round one. On this day in 1953, which Asian country gained its independence from France? Gosh, I think it was Suhas.
Yeah, I think so too.
Korea.
Incorrect. And I think it was Steven next.
Ceylon?
No, Alden.
Cambodia.
Cambodia is correct. All right. Only one question y'all didn't get. After one round, Alden has 5, Zane and Suhas have 2, Steven, Nick, and the audience have 0. I'm including Nick because he's going to be here later, but he's going to lose this trivia.
He loses by default. I love it.
Round 2 is Cold War movies. So this is my category. All right. Which film follows a retired spy brought back to uncover a Soviet mole within the British intelligence agency? Alden.
Austin Powers.
No. No. Zane.
Bridge of Spies.
Incorrect. Steven, Suhas, y'all got guesses?
I know nothing about this.
Spencer, yes, the audience just types. Steven.
Operation Valkyrie.
No.
That's not a Cold War movie.
Yeah, that's
No,
World War II, I
II
think.
movie.
Yeah.
Suhas, you got a guess for a Cold
Nah.
War spy movie?
It's cold in Germany, you know.
It's a Cold War movie.
Cold,
Goodness
comma,
gracious.
war.
All right,
Sorry.
Suhas, are you forfeiting your guess?
Yeah.
All right, it's open to the floor again. Zach is incorrect with Mighty Ducks 2.
So close, though. So close.
Mitch wins.
Tinker?
Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy.
Oh.
Gary Oldman,
Tinker,
Colin
etc.
Firth, and Tom Hardee. Bravo, audience. Bravo, Mitch. Good job.
I haven't seen that.
All right. Oh, man, it is a good movie. It's
Is
one
it?
of those that's super, it's long and it's dry, but it is really good. Like the
I'll
acting
get-
is unbelievable.
I'll get really high and watch it then. It'll be fine.
You'll fall asleep.
No, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. It's perfect.
Okay, cool. Which film follows the efforts of a U.S. congressman and a CIA operative to support Afghan rebels against the Soviet Union during the Soviet-Afghan War? Was it Steven or Zane?
It was
Zane.
Zane.
I think it was Zane, yeah.
I was only paying attention to the first half, and I thought it was going to be Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, but that's also not a Cold War movie. So,
Like, at all?
Oliver North's Excellent Adventure.
Incorrect. Steven.
Charlie Wilson's War.
Charlie Wilson's War
Nice.
is correct.
Oh, yeah.
Audience, I
Didn't
almost
the
got
U.S.
2
help
points.
Osama bin Laden during that war?
Yes.
Yes.
We armed, trained, and funded the Mujahideen, and they became Al Qaeda.
Yep. Which,
We also put Saddam into power and then kind of
Go
back on
listen
that.
to Blowback. If you want the entire history of what we've been doing in the Middle East and the amount of dumb stuff that has come back on us because of it, go listen to the podcast Blowback, current season. Unbelievable podcast, like incredibly well produced. Like it's, I don't know if it's video. I only listen to it. So, but it's
Nikki Haley needs to listen to it.
Nikki Haley needs to shut up. Yeah.
I would also highly recommend Enough Already by Scott Horton.
Yes.
Excellent.
100%. 100%. Which film follows a Soviet submarine captain's defection to the West? Alden.
Hunt for Red October.
Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, I have seen that one. All right.
I've seen that one like a million times.
Yeah,
It's one of the
It's
two
such a
submarine
good
movies that I
movie.
even know of.
Mhm.
What's the other one?
U-571.
You're darn right it is.
Yeah.
Which film is based on the true story of an American lawyer tasked with negotiating the exchange of a captured American pilot for a Soviet spy? Zane.
It's not this, but Argo.
Incorrect.
That is at least kind of a Cold War movie.
That's so
kind of is
funny that
correct.
I was gonna joke and say that too. That's so weird,
Anyone?
but also not it. Yeah.
Anyone? You need me to repeat the question?
Yeah.
Read it again.
Which film is based on the true story of an American lawyer tasked with negotiating the exchange of a captured American pilot for a Soviet spy? Alden.
Iron Man.
Incorrect.
But I'm
You
close.
said based
though, right?
on a true story, and I was like, Argo time.
And I thought
Steven and Suhas, it's down to y'all.
I'm forfeiting.
Yeah, I got nothing.
All right. The hint is that it has already been said during this round of during round 2.
Oh, it's Austin Powers.
That's the only hint I can give. Actually, no. It was said in round 2, and it starred. Dadgummit. I think I forgot who it starred. Hang on. I gotta make
Mhm.
sure. Can't see y'all for a second. Give me a minute. Yes, starred Tom Hanks
Oh.
and Mark
Oh no.
Rylance. This is unbelievable.
Dang it.
Yeah. I'm going to kick myself for not knowing this one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, another great one. And it was recently made in the last 5
Oh
years.
shoot!
Zane.
It's Bridge of Spies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I completely have forgot that I said that.
You were the one that said
Yeah.
it first. That's right.
I
Yeah.
know who he was.
When no one like said anything, I was like, wait, who said it? Whose movie was it?
All right. Which action film depicts a group of American teenagers resisting a Soviet invasion of the United States? Zane.
Dang it.
My favorite libertarian movie, Red Dawn.
You are darn right. It is Red Dawn.
The
All
chair is
right.
against the door.
I'm so mad I didn't get that in time.
All right. After 2 rounds, Alden has 7. Zane has 6. Steven, Suhas, and the audience all have 2, and Nick has 0. Which means it is still literally anybody's game. If Steven, Suhas, or the audience get all 3 correct, or no, get 2 out of the 3 correct, with certain other people getting it wrong, then you win. So
Because we got some heavy hitter dog questions here. so-
yeah, sadly, Suhas is probably going to fail this one.
Yeah. I
Was-
never owned a dog, and I will never.
Suhas is a cat person.
No.
Goldfish?
No.
Iguana. I got it.
No.
Now,
Brian was right behind y'all, by the way. Right behind.
I'm
you.
upset.
now we're going to find out who the true dog father is.
Oh, good lord! There's no Fed button for.
Wait, I
trivia.
need to know, why is Red Dawn a libertarian movie?
I don't know if you were on this episode, but I feel like this was one of the first couple episodes I was on. But we did a lengthy discussion of Murray Rothbard's movie review of Red Dawn.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Oh. No, I don't remember that.
It's very much a like, as far as libertarian movies go, it's very much a libertarian movie.
Interesting. Okay. I'll have to rewatch it in the libertarian like lens. Like
You got to
that's
come down
interesting.
here and watch it because Nikki's never seen it. and
Oh.
so we're gonna watch it soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Either of them?
Who cares about the second one?
Right.
What the frick does that have to
The,
do?
like-
It's not a good movie.
The like reboot.
Yeah, the reboot
With Thor or
Chris
whatever?
Hemsworth trying
Yeah.
an American accent. He's got the thickest Australian accent of all time, and they try to put him in an American accent. It's idiotic. Okay, round number 3, dogs. What is the name of the phenomenon where dogs curl their tongues into a tube to drink water? Alden.
Lapping?
So, technically speaking,
Yes, right?
I'll give it to you. Also known as lapping, it's called the capillary action.
Okay. Colloquially known as lapping. Like,
Yeah, you're correct. That is unbelievable. I did not think anybody would get that. All right. Which ancient civilization is often credited with domesticating the first breed of dogs for herding purposes? Was it Zane or was it Steven?
yeah, it was Zane.
Zane.
Egypt.
Incorrect. Who was next? Was it Suhas?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Mesopotamia.
Incorrect. Alden.
China?
No. Steven, it's to you, buddy.
I'm gonna go with the Celts.
Incorrect. I'm not giving any hints for this. Y'all will eventually get there.
The-
Let me make sure one of those wasn't. Hang on one second. Make sure one of these wasn't. All right, Alden, you got a guess?
I think the floor is open in terms of
Yeah.
because I went. I said
Yeah, I know. Everybody already guessed. It's your turn. Didn't you just raise your hand?
no. I guess I
Oh,
said
Yeah.
China.
Oh, Steven.
Babylonians.
No. Suhas.
The Aztecs.
Incorrect. Persia is incorrect. Mongolians are incorrect. Wales is incorrect. Who's next?
Wow.
Zane?
I don't know, the Romans. That's probably too late.
Nope. The Danes is incorrect. Alden, it's to you now.
The Turks?
No.
The Mayans.
Spencer is wrong too. Man. All right. Well, somebody may challenge me on this, but I'm going to give you the answer because no one's going to get this.
That's fine.
The ancient Sumerians.
I thought that was
Suhas
said.
should get that.
I know.
Suhas
They're,
should
they're
get
in the
that.
same that's why I looked it up. They're in the same region.
What did Suhas say?
He said the
Mesopotamians.
Mesopotamians, which
Oh, okay.
it's technically
We
two
said
different
Mesopotamia
areas, but
and Babylon, but not Sumer. Like, okay.
yeah, it's technically two different regions. I mean, I'm gonna.
It's a different culture.
I'm going to
It's
give you
fine.
partial credit because they literally like share Mesopotamia with another tribe. So, was that the last question? No, one more.
I think there's still one more, but I think that Aladdin just clinched the win.
I think you are correct.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, but we're
Aladdin.
gonna fight it out for second place because libertarians love being the first loser. All right, which
Or the
dog
second
breed? Which dog breed is known for having a unique trait called webbed feet, making them excellent swimmers? Alden,
Labs.
no. Suhas,
Chihuahuas.
incorrect. Have you seen a Chihuahua swim?
Never. I've never seen
It's
a
not-
Chihuahua in my entire life.
They don't like it yet.
Zane, Steven,
Poodles?
no. Jared is incorrect. Incorrect for Zach. Zane,
Nathan's all beef Franks.
incorrect. Let me give you a hint before anybody else.
Okay.
Hang on. Now I gotta look.
Georgia's mascot.
No,
It
I'm
is
pretty sure it's
a-
not an English bulldog.
It is a very northern breed from North America. Alden,
Newfoundland.
the Newfoundland is correct.
Nice.
Wow.
How about that, y'all?
I was gonna.
There
Where
we
did you get
go.
that picture?
I don't remember where I got that picture, but
Oh my god.
there's not many pictures of you out there, Alden. You don't have a social media presence.
I don't. There's a reason. I'm like Ron Swanson. Delete all pictures of Ron.
That's such a good episode.
I was
You are
gonna
the true
joke.
dog father.
I am the dog father. If I didn't actually have a guess, I was gonna say Reservoir Dogs because you know a reservoir of water. Like,
Well, damn.
When you have to explain it, it's
Damn.
no longer funny.
Reservoir, like it contains water.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so somebody start talking so Alden stops.
Somebody else.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks everybody for playing. Appreciate it. Everybody in the audience, y'all did a fantastic job.
Nick lost.
Nick lost really badly. Like Nick scored 0 points tonight. We're gonna make sure he remembers that next week as well. All right. Next story is a story about us. So let's pull that up, Zach.
We're newsmakers.
We are newsmakers. Play the clip, and then we'll go over to the comments. It's absolutely absurd.
When you pay property tax on a piece of land that is capital R remote, like there ain't nothing, like it's that really starts to like accentuate the ridiculous factor of what you are paying for.
Everybody's argument is always the road. Like, oh well, you got to get a road to get there. Well, the freaking gas tax is supposed to pay for the daggum road. Like, tell me what the property tax is paying for. Like, it doesn't make any damn sense.
What's
It's
the
a fee for having them not come and arrest you.
I kind of like that. Not being arrested for it. It's absolutely absurd. All right, Zach, you don't have to pull up the next one because I'll just read off some of the comments. So we've been getting a lot of pushback from this. Basically, people saying that we have no idea what we're talking about. We don't do our research. We don't know what property taxes go to. And I think people missed the point of the video, which is that property taxes are extortion. And so one of the comments we got, and actually ended up having just a normie. So these are non-libertarian folks just out there commenting on our videos, which is great. We had a great back and forth for a while, and he said one of the things property taxes pay for are schools in the area. This is true across most, if not all, states. Now you could argue that if you don't have kids, why are you supporting their education?
We covered.
Yeah, but do you want a bunch of uneducated individuals in your community?
Well, that's what we already have.
Maybe.
So.
Yeah,
They're currently running my community.
yeah. Exactly. Another thing property taxes cover are local parks and recreation areas, public land management. It's things you might not use, but it affects the value of real estate in the area, and it's your fault for not taking advantage of it. There may not be much of these facilities in your area, but if that's the case, you're probably paying less property tax than a place that does have those.
Well,
So
I'm gonna go to his house, steal $10,000, build a badminton court, and tell him, "Well, it's your fault you don't play badminton."
Yeah. I was gonna say something in line with that, but not as funny. What if we?
Look at that, Zane. Look how nice you are. Your property taxes went to buying Brian a piece of red velvet cake. Good job.
Nice.
You should feel proud. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Elizabeth makes a good point. We're not supposed to do our own research anymore. So how would we have known? Property taxes
It's hilarious. Yeah, like okay, my answer to that then, or at least an idea, is like, okay, what if we did like a paid fee to do access to parks instead of like this automatic tax situation? Suhas is nodding. He might be on board.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because I think a lot of these things, like, we would have if we allowed the private sector to do them. Right now, if you have a private company that wants to build a road or a park, there's an enormous amount of regulation. And so essentially now the government's taking it over. And the private sector could do the thing for a lot less money because it has its own money at stake. And so I think property taxes are definitely a form of extortion. And any politician that implements a property tax should go to jail.
You're gosh, you just crushed it.
Yeah.
I mean, so my response, we responded about 10 times total. And it ended up in a good place, but like my response to that one was, in this particular instance, the property I'm referring to is so far out in the middle of nowhere that there isn't a community. I'd also argue that public schools and the public education system are failures and don't actually teach anyone appropriate life skills. I also don't have any parks or recreation areas nearby, and I'd argue that the state shouldn't be funding those either. And
I
yes,
also
we're probably
wouldn't
paying
call-
less, but less doesn't mean right. Property taxes are immoral.
I also wouldn't call what you have a road out there either. I've been on it. It's not a road.
Yeah,
It's a trail.
It's a trail at best, for sure. It's real rough. If you have any vehicle that isn't a tall SUV, you're going to bottom out about 13 times before you get to my property. So
There was
yeah.
a spot when we were driving up there that Jake was leading me. He got out of his UTV. He turned around. He was like, "See this rock? Don't hit this rock." People busted their oil pans on this rock. He's like, "Drive into the bushes, go way around." Like, that's not a road. Like, if you have to get out and warn someone about a rock, it's not a road. Like, it does not count.
that rock. So we've tried to remove that rock with every single possible thing except for dynamite at this point.
I was just gonna say,
we've had a
drill hole and
jackhammer,
dynamite.
we've drilled
Yeah.
holes, we've done everything, and it's like a friggin' iceberg. There's just so much below the surface. It sticks out so far. It's destroyed people's farms. Yeah, it's not a road.
No.
But yeah, first of all, yeah, we're gonna talk about property taxes a lot too. But I love the fact that people that are completely outside our community are engaging with us, and in a pretty productive way for the most part. Like
That's encouraging.
a few of these people were pretty reasonable and like said, it was good discussion, good talking to you. So like I'm very proud of the fact that people are watching this and not just screaming at us nonstop.
If you find something that's getting more like, because it's hard to keep track of like all the little shorts that are out there, but if you find something that's getting more traction, like throw it in our feed, because I would comment on it as well if I like knew which one was getting.
I didn't know you had
attention.
Instagram, Alden.
Oh yeah.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Send
I
those over
don't
to
use
me.
it.
I am so ready to go in and wreck these noobs. I am the most closed-minded person on earth. I have found the libertarian dogma, and I am now extremely dogmatic. There's no chance of any of these people changing my mind, but maybe I can change theirs.
Dogma father.
Okay.
Zane is now required to drink SoCo.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
A mandate, yeah.
100%. I'm sending him a bottle of SoCo for Christmas. Like this is
It's
happening
subsidied.
every time.
It's a subsidied mandate, yeah.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
gosh. Yeah.
Well, so I live in Fayette County, and one of the things they've swapped to with their public park areas is like a usage fee. Although we still have property taxes for some reason.
I was gonna say not both. You can't.
Yeah, but so Fayette
They missed
residents,
it.
Fayette residents can go to the reservoirs and parks totally free. Or if you're a business in the area, you can buy a pass for your out-of-town employees for I think it was like $3 a year. Or if you live out of town and you want to visit one of our parks, you have to buy a $200 annual parking pass.
There you go.
And it's okay. So if that's actually successful, why do we still have property taxes?
Mhm.
Yeah. There's actually a different.
Year to park at a park.
Yes.
Suhas, what are you saying?
Yeah, there was actually like a different model. So this would only work for like large parks. So John Stossel was actually doing a segment on privatizing parks. And what he said was that in New York City, I think it was Central Park that they privatized, or like Bryant Park. And what they did was it was made free to the users of the park, but the businesses and the commercial establishments that were on the park, they had to pay a fee to the private park so that they could make it, they could operate their business there. And I think that's a great model as well.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not so bad.
Well, yeah, and nestled in the heart of Fayette County, you've got Peachtree City, the land of golf carts. That's everybody's preferred method of travel around there. There's more cart paths than there are paved roads.
Yeah, it's a creepy town.
Creepy.
So strange. Alden, you remember Paige?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she lived in Peachtree City, so that explains a lot.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cool little amenity, but that's one of the things that was hotly debated in the last mayoral race. And there was one guy that he's admittedly a Democrat. Of course, he was saying that he was trying to run like a Teddy Roosevelt style campaign, all the boomers
Oh,
got
no.
out, torches and pitchforks. Oh my God, the socialists are coming. There's a socialist running for mayor. This, that, and the other. And of course, he doesn't win. But for a dark horse, non-politician candidate to enter this race, he did pretty well. I think he polled double digits. And then the Republican gets in and does all the things that they said he wanted to do that were socialist. I'm not even lying. Like, this dude ran to the right of the Republicans, and they were so upset that, a socialist was on the platform. And they've done all of his most despicable things in spades since they got elected.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yep. That seems
But
about
that was the whole thing, was that the cart path usage fee of he was actually wanting to privatize the whole thing, offload the burden of property taxes, and he was wanting to have usage fees because there's an amphitheater there that actually has some decent concerts.
Yeah.
The cart path fees, he was going to leverage that for all the out of towners, so mainly people from Tyrone that come over. He was going to charge them a little more. Of course, he was going to charge the residents a little more too, but if you don't have a golf cart, you don't have to worry about it. Or if you're not going to use one, you don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then, then the Republicans get in and they just raised all the rates across the board.
Perfect.
And didn't cut property
The lesser
taxes.
of two evils, right?
What'd you say, Nick?
Keep voting for that lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
I think eventually, if you keep doing that, you'd get no evil.
But if you vote for the lesser
Not how it
of
works.
3 evils, maybe we get to a better place.
I mean, the number of times I wrote Ron Paul in on Tuesday for various races, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, I know Libertarians did decently in the elections this past week. I know one of our biggest ones was mayor of Wichita, Kansas.
All right.
We got
Although,
a Libertarian
yeah,
elected there.
let's not get into those details from my understanding, but yeah, let's take that win.
Let's take that win and just move on. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, great.
But up here in Pennsylvania,
I'm glad. I want to make choice my evils. Great.
That is kind of a good point because I like ranked choice voting as much as the next absolute nerd, but at some point it's like I kind of feel like to quote the old saying, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. I kind of feel like if I have too strong of an opinion on voting mechanisms, does that legitimize the act of voting? And I would say no, but I do have that creeping feeling whenever I start feeling myself getting too invested in ranked choice voting, is that I should be in favor of nobody voting.
Fair.
Yeah. I think there were 20 wins up here in PA.
Nice.
A lot of those were, uncontested, a lot of auditor spots.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, wins are wins in the grand scheme of things. We had some other good challenges. Like there was 2 people running for a school board for 2 school board positions. My understanding, I didn't make it out there for the debate, but my understanding was they crushed the others in the debate.
Nice.
I can't remember. I don't know if they were just. It seems like we file as libertarians, and then it seems like for a lot of these races in PA, the major party people cross file so that they show up on the ballot as Democrat/Republican.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then there's ways that we can write in to get a Libertarian/Republican. It's weird, and I don't quite understand it. But
yeah, I don't get that either.
Every race here is partisan. So I went out and I was helping the guy out. And,
even coroner.
Well, I don't. Is that still elected?
Well, the Republican coroner would be slightly less likely to say that you died from COVID. So I guess there's that.
There you go.
Well, we'll get into. Sorry,
yeah,
go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, everything is partisan here. So
Interesting.
I was out in. I went out to an area called Cranberry Township, which is a fairly built-up business area. We had a guy running for township supervisor there. I mean, as far as businesses, this is just north of Pittsburgh where the PA Turnpike and I-79 intersect. And it's home to big businesses like Westinghouse Nuclear, PPG Paints. The Pittsburgh Penguins have a practice facility out there. So it's a big business area, a lot of business parks, but still gets on the rural fringe. So I was out there helping. He pulled a good 20-25%. It was it was nice because I went and I looked at the I was there in the evening till he ran out of stuff after work, and then but I looked, he pulled, it was like 1 in 4 people voted for him. He had signs everywhere, like it looked like a professional campaign. I'd like to,
it looked like one, but it wasn't, right? Because it was Libertarian.
I mean, he seemed to be doing good. He had mailers that went out. He had
nice.
He did everything right except it takes a bigger ground game, when you've got to still overcome that label. So who knows?
I love it.
With familiarity, you run a couple times out there. I think probably in 2 years there's another spot opening that we can go after with him, maybe if he's interested. So that's a big that would be the biggest spot if we got that. I mean, it's a 30,000 people township, so like it's
all right,
sizable.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Nice.
Well,
I saw some story a couple of days ago that the voting machines in Pennsylvania were acting up again, like swapping votes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we saw that happen. We saw that was out east, but yeah, I was seeing those reports on the day of, and I have no idea. I didn't see anything weird when I went. I also went like right as it opened because knowing I was going to go help after work, I had to vote before work.
Yeah,
that happened in Savannah when we lived there, Jake.
Really?
Do you remember that? Yeah, there was whole
don't.
districts that the voting machines were just down.
Yes. No, I do remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy. We're going to talk about the election more next week as we, get all this information compiled, so we know how much we won and all that kind of stuff, and who won and where, and we can give props to all those kinds of people.
The porcupine wave.
There we go. That won across the country. So we'll talk about this more next week. For now, speaking of elections, let's go watch a debate. Part of a debate.
Oh, jeez.
Mr. Ramaswamy, are you persuaded by President Zelensky's urgent new plea? Where do you stand on more funds?
I'm absolutely unpersuaded. And I'm actually enjoying watching the Ukraine hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. The first half of this race, I was the only person standing for it. Now they're actually quietly coming around to being more cautious, as they should. Level with the American people here. Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks. That is not democratic. More facts for you that you won't hear from the mainstream in either party or the mainstream media. The regions of Ukraine that are occupied by Russia right now in the Donbass, Luhansk, Donetsk. These are Russian-speaking regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014, that other people probably couldn't name those provinces for you. Those are the hard facts. And so to frame this as some kind of battle between good versus evil, don't buy it. And I'd like the likes of the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer. Do you want to use U.S. taxpayer money to fund the banning of Christians? That is actually what's happening. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least this one time
Ramaswamy,
condemn.
Thank you. That's time.
At least to
Mr.
condemn
Ramaswamy,
their
thank
banning
you.
of Christians.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. We asked the question.
Yeah.
Wow, they're actually debating.
Oh, he is. He is. Nobody else said anything of substance.
I watched a couple clips, and God, why first you got the walrus just standing there, and then you have Chris Christie, and then I can't stand anyone more than fucking Nikki Haley. Like I went because I went on there and I was like trying to grab some clips potentially for social media stuff to send to the PA guys to use, and like I looked at clips for about 5 minutes on there, just clicking through stuff, and I'm like, I can't do this. This is fucking retarded.
I mean, it's painful, but like Vivek's not great on everything. He was just on Dave Smith's podcast this week, and he was fine on it.
Yeah,
They actually got into it for a second, which was interesting.
but
But
he bent over backwards to he was stretching a little bit trying to dance around the Palestine question, I believe.
yeah, he did. He was acting very much like a politician. But in this particular instance, I mean, friggin' spot on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if we go by the,
particular exchange, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with what he said there, and he's completely right about everything he said. And God, I hate Nikki Haley.
Yeah. But if we go by the Neil Bortz principle of the best head of hair wins president, it's between him and Nikki Haley. I mean, let's just face that.
Yep, it's going to be one of those two that comes out of this.
I saw one poll where RFK is getting like 23% as an independent.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Yep.
In a three-way race.
Yep.
And
that'll throw a wrench in things.
Right. Well, I mean, one of the talking heads on Atlanta radio around here was talking about how RFK is peeling more votes away from Trump than he is from Biden.
So there are multiple theories on that. I've been watching Tim Pool, and they bring up like different polls quite a bit. And some of their guests seem to think that he absolutely pulls more from Trump, because while Republicans will tend to vote Republican no matter what, not all of them are tied to Trump. And they love a lot of the things that RFK has said, especially about vaccines and stuff like that. So I could see a world where he pulls about equally from both, maybe a little bit more from one. But either way, the fact that he's polling so high is awesome.
I mean, what's going to be interesting is maybe he's going to have the funding to do it, but getting on the ballot, I mean, I think he's going to have to prioritize places. And I think Georgia's going to end up on the low end of his priority, being the just the amount of signatures you need. I think it would be 1% of all registered voters in Georgia. So,
yeah.
But Jimmy Carter
Brian makes an interesting point. He said it could be bad for us if RFK draws the people who are just sick of the duopoly that we tend to get.
Right.
That is a good point. And yeah,
in states where he's on the ballot, it might actually be helpful when in Georgia people show up, they're uninformed or slightly informed, or they might think RFK is going to be on their ballot and get there and he's not on the Georgia ballot because Georgia ballot access sucks, and then they might end up going, well, fuck these guys, and throw it that way also. Throw it the Libertarian way also.
Is Jill Stein running again?
Yes, that came out today. Because what's his name? Cornell West for
did he already
Cornell
quit?
West, who was running for Green. He went independent.
Cornell West was
he quit
running.
Greens.
How is he?
Yes.
There's no way on earth that dude can get enough support to have any type of effect on even the polls.
Absolutely not. No. No, he was I think Greens and Forward might have got behind him. And then there was a whole bunch of drama that I don't know exactly what happened, but a whole bunch of infighting in the Green Party. That's what it was. People's Party, the Green Party, the Independent. It was the People's Party that got him. And then he also was with the Greens doing a thing. It wasn't Forward. And then he went independent because some sort of internal drama bullshit that
Jen Cougar's also running for president, y'all.
Oh yeah.
the guy who wants to have sex with his dog. So that's great.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't that phrasing isn't specifically accurate, but one of the things he did bring up, it was like a decade ago, but he brought it up when he was running for something else, is that like the first thing he would do is make it legal to have sex with animals.
That is a absolutely wrong way to run any campaign.
I would never publicly.
It was unprompted as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
It was the most bizarre thing.
How do we as libertarians
Mr.
feel
Uger,
about...
what is your opinion on bestiality? It has never been asked in the history of any campaign.
I feel like it's one of those ones that you hope just goes like, it doesn't need to be said or whatever, but
yeah. Brian
how
says
do we
he's
feel?
not a native-born citizen, which is technically true. But they talked about this on Tim Pool, where both of his parents are American, and he was born. I can't remember.
So
what it
he
was.
has
Basically,
in Turkey.
He was born in Turkey, but basically he has the right to run. Which if you
Yeah,
start a
technically he
business,
wasn't born in the U.S. either. He was born in Canada.
that makes a lot of sense.
Really?
Yeah, no, I get that now. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, who was born in Canada?
Ted
Ted
Cruz.
Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
Oh, yeah, we knew that one.
He's a Canadian vampire.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
Zodiac killer, right?
He's Atlas or something.
And he ate a booger on the last, what was it, 2016 when he was running? There was a slow-mo where a booger drops into his mouth and he eats it while he's talking.
That's
It was awful.
Okay.
that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
What's worse though, that or the dog thing? You know.
Right.
That's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, at least think, he wants a chicken in every pot and something else in every chicken.
Yeah, and to be fair, and just to clarify, why we're talking about all these third-party candidates that aren't ours, all of them have crap views on everything except like one thing.
Each has their one thing. Yeah.
Yes, because RFK is terrible on so many things.
Yeah, red
Was
flag laws,
Zach saying-
abortion, all the things that the conservatives,
Palestine. Yeah.
for a self-professed conservative to side with RFK, what are you conserving at that point?
Correct.
Because the man's not really cutting taxes. The only thing he's really pushing back on is the recent medical tyranny. Everything else is status quo.
Yep, but he's
look at,
great on that one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about this with Mike Termont when he was talking about him being like a good person, but through the lens of the status still,
Yes.
like,
No, he's a statist.
Yeah.
He's a friggin' Kennedy. Of course he's a statist.
yeah. I still appreciate what he did in terms of bringing to light, like someone of some position, talking about vaccines and things at the time and like policy on it and whatnot. And like, I appreciate him for that and a couple of different things, but
This is what I talked about a lot with Derek Bros 2 weeks ago on the Free Georgia podcast, was like being able to establish coalitions and work with people who you disagree on a lot of things, but you agree on the one topic that you are going to come together on. Like what we did with the Rage Against the War Machine rally in DC this year, with Libertarian Party and the Communist Party came together and had a rally together. Like that's
People's Party.
important.
I don't know if the communists were there. The Communist Party itself, I don't know if they were actually there.
Communist Party
It said it on the
supporters.
friggin' banner. It said it on the
Yeah,
flyer.
I mean, there were definitely commie shit. There was definitely commie stuff there. Although I think the People's Party kind of refer to themselves as populist leftists.
They can refer to themselves however they want. It doesn't change.
Well, they're
anything.
still commies, but
Yes,
yeah.
they're still communists.
But they're not like the worst kind.
Oh yeah, Grumpy wants to remind us that the Georgia LP is having a debate in January. In case you didn't know, yeah, down in Conyers, Georgia. Go get your tickets now, $75. Go see the I've been corrected, 6 presidential candidates coming down to Georgia to have a debate. Let's see. Yeah, we were talking about Ukraine, which is what I wanted to talk about coming into this, which is why is Pete Buttigieg in Ukraine? Why is the transportation secretary flying to Ukraine to hang out with Zelensky?
Well, when
You
the
didn't
toll
hear?
booths
That's
when the
those
toll booths pop
railroads.
up at Georgia 400 again, you know exactly why.
If what?
I said when
Toll
the toll
booth.
booths pop up at Georgia 400 again,
They're
this is
building
why.
a toll road to Ukraine.
There we
That's right.
And yeah, I was
With that
basically-
amount of money, you could. I mean,
Yeah, no kidding. Zach, let's go to the next.
Well, did you see that they're trying
Hang
to
on,
reduce,
Nick. Hang on, Nick. Goodness gracious. Zach, let's go to the next one. The House has
airhead
approved an
amendments.
amendment to cut Pete Buttigieg's salary to $1. Which it's not
$1 too much.
That, MTG said exactly that. She said that that's even that salary is too much for him, which is hilarious. I mean, first of all, what a waste of time. Like, I mean, it's hilarious, but it is a giant waste of time for Congress to be passing these idiotic things, and it's just the House.
Yeah, but would you rather
I'm
them
gonna
be
pass the
passing
Senate.
absolutely terrible shit or arguing over stupid shit?
I would rather them just shut up and go away. But
Well,
Yeah,
assuming
we're
that
not
that's
that
not an
bad.
option at the moment.
yeah, I mean, I guess it is better to pass this than the next Patriot Act. So I guess.
I
we
mean,
could
let's
just keep doing
at
this.
least be entertained by the dysfunction, right?
That's fair.
We've got another the continuing resolution on the spending bill
Yeah,
should be
government
coming up
shutdown in
soon.
8
So
days, potentially.
Didn't we just have an almost government shutdown like 2 weeks
Well,
ago?
but they had the continuing resolution so that they could then pass the actual spending bills. But then they spent half the time selecting a new speaker.
So, like, what actually happens in a government shutdown?
Grumpy says Pete was picking up his check in Ukraine.
What
Shut
happened to the
down all
Logan
the
Act?
stuff they shut down all the stuff people like about the government and keep all the shit they hate open. So they'll shut down
Oh,
shut down
perfect.
the national parks. They'll quit
Right.
paying people Social Security and quit paying.
No,
this
they
and
do
quit
pay
paying
Social
that.
Security.
They still pay.
They
Social
still do.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
They,
Medicare, Medicaid, welfare payments, all of them still go. It's just the national parks, the postal service. I think I could be wrong, but
I
most
don't
of the
even
government,
remember.
And
most of the budget still operates though.
and
Okay.
what is it? USGS, which or excuse me, NOAA, which USGS is a subsidiary of. So, like your GPS stuff, your weather forecasting, all your buoys out in the ocean.
and
Um,
everybody who
they pull
comes
the plug on
back,
that.
everyone who comes back after the government shutdowns gets back pay, and he gets paid for the
Yeah.
time they miss.
Wait,
It's like,
so like, do taxpayers get a payout for all the shit
'cause
that
we
they
still
didn't
end up
get in the
paying
no,
for
time?
because we
everyone who
still
didn't
end up
do
paying.
anything.
We still end up
It
paying.
was tongue in cheek. It was like facetiously, like, I'm sure that doesn't happen, but like we should, like if you're losing things that you're supposed to be paying for, then we should get a kickback for it. Like,
You would
I
think.
agree. Give me my
yeah.
national park pass back. Give me the
I remember
money
it
for
was
that back.
during COVID. I went up to North Georgia to Anna Ruby Falls, and they were like, "The park is closed." I was like, "How do you close a freaking mountain?"
oh, the
I'm like,
trees
well-
are closed. Go
Well, you
home.
can't
Like,
park here. And I was like, "Okay, so I'm gonna park there, not pay you for it, and walk this trail."
walk
And they were
in,
like,
yeah.
"That works."
Park on the road.
Yeah, Zach says they shut down a roadside pull-off where you could see Mount Rushmore. Like just
I'd
where
be
you
like-
pull over.
That's when you
I-
just take the negative battery terminal off and you just go, I don't know, my car won't start. I just rolled
There we
in
go.
here, like
Like they
I
found
think
a
during the
decent
big
amount of
shutdown
idiotic
during
stuff.
Obama's term, like there was some provision that Congress had passed where like the DC monuments were like allowed to stay open, but Obama shut them all down anyway to really shove it in people's face how much they all need daddy government to help them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember seeing some pictures or some videos or something. There was some Vietnam vets that like they could only get their wheelchair so close to the barricade they couldn't actually go touch the wall. They were trying to go see the memorial, and that was the whole anti-Obama commercial there. They were like, "Look at what he did."
Now here's a question: does the VA still operate? Do veterans still get their
believe
benefits
so.
and everything during a government shutdown? Anybody know?
I don't know.
Okay,
Um,
because that would be something I'd be interested in knowing for sure.
Well, there's plenty of vets here around Atlanta that would tell you they don't get their benefits anyways.
That's
That's-
fair. Yeah, that's
I
true.
was gonna bring up that, like, I don't know if anyone would notice a fucking difference in half the cases, but yeah,
Yeah, but some people do get help.
Some
from the
do,
VA.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not everybody, and it's definitely not timely. Or
it's like
If you're
one
in
of those
Georgia-
things.
If you're in Georgia and you need hearing aids through the VA, go to Talladega or go to Tuskegee. Not Talladega. Yeah, Tuskegee. Go over to Alabama. You'll get better service.
Wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
Well,
Grumpy
we'll
says
find out in a
yes.
couple
The VA
days if-
stays open.
Okay,
It's I would be
Unfortunately.
surprised if the new speaker and burning all that time. I'd be surprised if we don't get a little bit of a shutdown.
I mean, I'm hoping we do. I want a shutdown. Let's shut it
Well,
down.
at least we'll
Yeah,
figure
like
out
if I
what
was
it
if I was president and we didn't get a shutdown, what I would do is I would send all my military troops as commander in chief in front of all federal buildings to prevent employees from working there and never pay them. Like I would do that until Congress passes a resolution to abolish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Department of Education, Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, Department of Energy, Department of Labor, the EPA, and most other government organizations you can think about, because what they are committing is theft, fraud, and abuse.
what would be your
Right on.
Hot
timeline?
damn! All right,
much-
to us.
I'm gonna play off of this and riff off of this. Like, how much runway would you give? Like, what would be your timeline before these things had to be dissolved?
A solid month, I think, is good enough.
A month? That's very fast.
Or just come out with some BS appointments like, I want Carrot Top to run Department of Energy.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, is this a joke? Yes, it is. All of this is a joke.
Goodness gracious. Hey, you're getting votes here, Suhas.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, that's very impressive. All right, speaking of voting for people, let's pull this story up. So go ahead and click play on this.
So you're saying that you're saying that they're paying their fair share is what you're saying.
No, I'm asking what percentage is a fair share.
Their fair share, the same. If a third of my money is going to taxes, then I think a third of their money should be going.
It
to
does.
Taxes. Well, it does.
I'm trying to understand because you realize the effective tax rate on the poor is less than it is on the rich, right?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not the poor. I'm very close to that line, but I'm not the poor.
The effective tax rate on the middle class is less than it is on the rich, correct? What fair share would you like to?
All right, let's go to her.
I think that what she was trying to remember is the fact that capital gains tax is lower than ordinary income tax. So people who are very wealthy, a lot of their income comes from investments, and they're paying a lower tax rate on that than than normal people would be paying taxes on their
a lot
income.
of their
obviously there's a lot of good reasons why of all the taxes, capital gains taxes should be zero.
Correct.
So I'm not defending the existence of the capital gains tax.
Right.
But, if you're a politician and you're so busy going to donor dinners and rallies, maybe I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she forgot some of her talking points.
Yeah, where she is wrong. Yeah.
That's how you have guys like Warren Buffett saying that his secretary pays more taxes than him, and that's not right. And if you talk actual amount,
No one
of taxes,
said he had to take all those deductions that he takes.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are voluntary to take. You can pay whatever you know.
Well, he was one of them was getting so mad about Trump divulging the double Irish Dutch sandwich on the campaign trail, how he avoids taxes, through shell corporations in different countries, because he was one of those. He was the main one using that, basically.
Yep.
What were you saying to us?
Yeah, what I was saying was that the reason why capital gains is lower than ordinary income is that it's technically a double tax, because if you're owning stock in a company, the company pays corporate income tax, and then whenever you sell your shares, you pay capital gains tax. And 3 is that you don't accumulate the capital gain in just a year. If you make $100,000, or let's just say you put in $100,000, and after 10 years it goes up to $300,000, you made $200,000, but it took 10 years to accumulate that. But the IRS just recognizes that within 1 year. And what she's saying about like the rich not paying their fair share of taxes, that's still statistically not true. The top 10% of Americans pay 80% of all federal income tax. And during the Reagan administration, that number actually went up, because in 1980, the top 1% paid 19% of all federal income tax. By 1990, the top 1% paid 30% of all federal income tax.
I don't think I have a problem more like in concept here, at least with like just like private civilians at the higher levels. It's more like corporations that are like, oh, we're like based out of the Bahamas, and it's like, okay, not really, but like that's like where I get a little funny with
But
it.
in the end,
I'm fine with anybody finding any possible way to avoid paying any taxes whatsoever.
I mean, in theory,
all a corporation is in the libertarian analysis is a group of individuals. And so if you're against individuals having to pay taxes, you should also be against corporations having to pay taxes.
a corporation was ruled to be like legally a person, a individual, like a citizen.
Well,
do you know what's up your head? There's some case the Democrats get all mad about that one.
Well, Citizens United was about speech more than it was about donations, because that was them trying. That was because it was a restriction on. They were running campaign ads. Citizens United was running campaign ads or something, or a documentary, and they said that was influencing the election or something. And the court said, no, you can absolutely pay to run put the money out there for this documentary.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that she can't answer this question and Zane answered it within 2 seconds and just like pulled it right up out of his brain, and she just sits there like dumbfounded that she can't actually answer the question. She's an elected representative in Missouri.
Yeah.
We need to get her some Southern comfort.
Zane has a
Zane
bigger
is
brain than
drunk
her.
and answering it better than she is.
I've actually
There's a
gotten
reason
into
why
this-
Missouri's the show me state and not the I can explain it to you state.
Good one, Nick.
I've gotten into like arguments before with people about how the taxes work, and just I know they're not, representatives or whatever, but like most people really don't know much about how it works.
No, definitely not. Yeah, no.
Yeah. The reason is, like, if you actually look at polls, if you ask Americans, do the rich pay their fair share? Most people say no. But then you
Right.
ask Americans, should we have a flat tax? They're like, yes. But if we had a flat tax, that would actually lower the proportion that the
It
rich
would.
pay.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. There was a time in my young life when I was like, yeah, flat tax, that makes sense. And then I've honestly, like at least am more aware of like what the situation is. And I'm not even sure where I would answer on it now.
Fair share is such a, no one can ever define what fair share is. So I
'Cause
think
that word
when they
is
go around
meaningless.
asking, it's usually a lower rate than, it's usually the rate that they name is lower than the rate paid. So like,
Which is why I like the libertarian approach where you're like, why do we even need most of these taxes? Like instead of like arguing over who pays what on like a 25 to 45% range, like let's way lower that number.
And that's why you have the most researched piece of legislation in U.S. history, H.R. 25, the Fair Tax Act, written by Neil Bortz and Georgia Congressman John Linder.
Jeez.
So if you've got, he wrote 2 books on it too, and went on many debates while he was still syndicated. And it's one of those where if you have to have taxes, which I mean essentially you do to kind of run a country of some sort.
I have something to say about that.
Well, sure. Yeah, I get that. I'm not going to debate that. With you. I'm on your side on this one.
The Southern
But the
comfort
only
has
way
something to say.
The only way to fairly implement the tax is at the point of sale, and that's it. It's not on your income. It's not on your capital gains. It's not just because you lived there for a year.
Yeah.
Because you used your phone. None of that crap.
What does Zane say?
And what they're proposing is 23%. Well, they might have revised it now because
On sales? Or if sales were the only.
They came out with this. Yeah,
if
so
sales were the only
23% at
tax,
the point of
okay.
sale. So everything essentially drops. The price of everything drops about 12%. You keep 100% of your paycheck. Everything is revenue neutral from the time it's implemented. The government makes the same amount of money right off the rip, which projections actually say that they would make more money because people would then consume more because they have more free money, or more spare money rather.
Interesting.
And then in there was the concept of the tax prebate. So based on your household size, the government would cut you a check for the taxes you would pay on the necessities of life. So bread, milk, power. Well, not your power bill because
why don't you just not have taxes on those things to start?
because
I don't
bureaucrats need to justify their existence.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't
there you
like
go.
that.
Yeah. So and that was if you don't do the prebate, if you do away with the prebate, then you can actually raise the rate like 1%. So that's why I think it's gone up to like 25% because the prebate thing got shredded because it's too easy to ridicule that or bastardize it because we got to add this to it. We got to add that to it. We got to take that away from it for certain people. And then you get this growing regulatory size and scope. So that's why they kind of strayed away from the prebate check, the concept of that. I mean, but just imagine that. If you don't have property taxes, you keep 100% of your paycheck. Stuff may cost some stuff's going to cost a little more, some stuff's going to cost a little less. And
Right.
the government makes the same amount of money.
Yeah.
The
And
only
it
thing
kind of-
is, if you get a guy in a suit and tie on TV talking about we need to raise the rate, there's one rate you're looking at, and you see the receipt you get.
And for the people that are more like, oh, the rich should pay more kind of thing, it's like, well, if they want to buy Lamborghinis, they're going to pay more. Like, just, my little Honda is not going to be nearly as much just like raw taxes, as something that's, an order of magnitude more expensive just in terms of the amount of money that's going in. So it would, in a sense, do that. Not by percentage, but, by volume, it would be more.
Yeah, I think we have to be cautious here because I don't think we should want a tax plan to be revenue neutral. I want the government to have as less money as possible. Because
I'm with you in theory here, yeah.
But
Yeah,
if you're looking at dismantling, you can't just all of a sudden withdraw and leave this vacuum, right? There has to be some kind of a, Ron Paul style taper down kind of thing. He was even saying you can't just abandon this system altogether. You have to wind down. The only way to get the pendulum to shift is essentially, you're coalescing all taxes into one rate you see on every receipt you get. So then at that point, all you have to do is say, hey, drop the tax rate instead of, hey, drop this, drop that. And then you're having to go to committee. You're having to get, some kind of lobby, somebody that's specialized in this field, all this kind of crap. They don't have that kind of armor anymore. There's one rate. Everyone sees it. Everyone pays it at the point of sale. And then you say, hey, drop that.
Now we're kind of entering into a broader conversation of like how in the real world do we move in a libertarian direction. And while I agree that the plan that you are describing would be superior to the one that we have now, I am pretty skeptical of practically being able to do anything at the national level just because it's so huge and there are so many entrenched interests that I have been convinced that the best way forward for libertarians is, radical decentralization and secession in terms of, the local level being where you can actually achieve the stuff that we want.
Yeah, absolutely. But for the smaller scale, certain states have actually passed their own version of the fair tax. I think, was it New Mexico that did this? Over the years, over the last 20 years, there's been 2 or 3 states that have done it and saw great success from it too. Because it totally simplifies everything. The regulatory the burden of that, being able to track and trace and review everything, goes out the window. You don't have an internal revenue service anymore. No one monitoring what you make.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Where the income tax regime we have now is, intentionally difficult to understand because the tax lawyers write the tax code, and then the tax lawyers are also the ones who get paid to help people understand the tax code.
Hey, it's 10% what you have to pay and 90% how to get out of paying it.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think we should only tax toilet paper. That's it.
Perfect.
Everybody shits. You just tax toilet paper. That's it.
I think you would be
Just get a
amazed to see how people respond to incentives.
Just get a bidet, man.
Or what people
my
use
suggestion.
as toilet paper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get a
there'd be
bidet. How many times have I
There
gotta
you
say
go.
it? Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
We
It's
have
all
like 3 in our
European
house.
now.
It's awesome. All right. Next topic. Zach, let's pull up the Zero Hedge article that Mr. Steven gave us. All right, y'all. So, first of all, this article is suspect because it's written by an imaginary person.
Tyler Durden.
Tyler Durden wrote it.
Yeah,
Everything's on Zero Hedges written by Tyler Durden.
But whatever. Okay, so it's not a real website. Got it. It says, new warning says half of U.S. at risk of grid down this winter. And it shows a map that basically shows everything everything east of Texas, including Texas, except for Florida, Georgia, parts of
Alabama.
Mississippi, and Alabama.
Yeah.
At risk of
And New
failure.
York.
Well, Mississippi's got some shiny brand
New
new
York
hydroelectric
got,
dams that aren't going anywhere for a while.
New York's got the Niagara Falls hydro station.
Yeah,
and
New
power.
York's okay. But let's see. All those are elevated risk, and then up in Canada, they're in high risk. What do you make of this, Stephen? Since you're the one who sent it to me.
Well, so we can go back to winter 2021. So winter, I'll say first quarter 2021. They had that deep freeze in Texas.
Yep.
It was real bad. So it turns out, because ERCOT got tired of all the pushback on that, and the Texas governor even had to come out and say something too, that hey, we applied for extra energy credits with the Department of Energy, and they denied us. And so then everybody's like, wait a second, you have to apply for energy credits with the Department of Energy to stop your windmills from freezing?
Interesting.
Because they saw this thing coming 2 weeks in advance. This weather system that was coming through.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it wreaked havoc on the construction industry in the Southeast as well, because there's like 3 or 4 PVC plants where they manufacture most of the plastic pipe that goes into like your water lines, your sewer lines. If it's made of PVC, that resin comes out of one plant in Texas, basically.
For the whole country?
Yeah.
Well, anything with the polymers, because I remember trying to get polymers, elastomers, stuff like that. I mean, that's all, coming out of the hydrocarbon fossil fuels. So if the refineries go down, you're you're kind of shit out of luck when it comes to that, because I saw that with the job I had down there in Georgia. We got force majeure on a bunch of stuff because of that.
Yeah. So, and you look at that, and the Project Mayhem is actually a pretty good reference, because if the Department of Energy, if it's brought to their attention that you have this crisis coming, that, hey, we need to produce more power to get ahead of this. We have to bank this extra energy to get ahead of this weather front. And they just go, nah. Well, that's a planned takedown. Like, they know you're going offline. You're telling them, hey, we're going offline. And somehow you're still asking permission. What's the punishment, I wonder, if they just said, screw you, we're doing it anyways? Does the Department of Energy come in and dismantle your power plant?
Not the green wire.
Because
anything but the green one.
Well, they definitely didn't come in and raise the barbed wire fence between Mexico and the U.S. the other day. They definitely didn't come in and do that and just let illegal immigrants come in.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, I feel like they would do that.
Did you say raise or like raise? Like raise, like higher level?
They raised it up with the front loader, so that people could go under it.
Oh,
so is Georgia not included in that because Plant Vogel finally
Yes, we got
online?
Plant Vogel.
We got Plant
3 years
Vogel.
late and 300% over budget, but it is
it's
online,
here.
by God. Yes. And we are ramping it up now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. Me and my wife definitely had a quote done last year to get a whole house propane generator, and they gave us a really good quote. We should have done it. But with Vogel, I guess we don't have to.
I mean, that's not, if you have any kind of property at all, more than say a couple of acres, geothermal is not a bad idea either.
Not on the top of a mountain.
I'm in Georgia right now. I'm talking about.
There. Okay, I thought you were talking about your Montana property.
But we only have 1 acre in Georgia. So.
But yeah, I mean, anything to reduce your reliance on the grid is a good idea, or at least have some kind of a backup plan. A generator, something.
Yeah.
I mean, this day and age, who wants to live without electricity for like a couple hours because a power line went down, right? Like the technologies out there get.
Well, and it could be any number of things too, because we're looking at possible blowback. I mean, because we're screwing up the world again still. So, anybody could get mad at us. And I mean, an EMP in the stratosphere could take out the power grid. Or we hear about Iranian hackers, and they're probably really upset because what was it? 10 years ago, we had what was it? AC/DC's Thunderstruck playing on full volume at one of their nuclear power plants.
What?
They couldn't shut it off for like 3 weeks because it was that Stuxnet virus that we used.
What?
Well, Stuxnet Stuxnet was fascinating. I read a book on that one, but yeah, Stuxnet was really something.
Yeah. So we have stuff like that floating around, and then you have, in terms of the energy backbone of the country, there's like 9 main power plants. 6 of those are on the internet.
Yeah.
Are they really now?
Yes.
They were never supposed to be on the internet.
That's what I thought.
That's the thing. Like, my understanding is a whole bunch of the infrastructure, like it's basic, like the stuff that they're that they have access to remotely and stuff like that. They basically, a lot of times, used very poor security, and it's a lot of default passwords still protecting it. And like basically, you could kind of drive up and try to catch the wireless signal and.
That would depend on the generator, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
it would depend on the generator.
If it's an analog, just
and
pull
whether or not
start
you got a
generator.
Faraday cage in your house.
A big Faraday cage.
That's a big old Faraday cage.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are folks building those into the walls as part of their house nowadays.
Yeah, I might be doing that in Montana.
I honestly am.
Well, at least
more
a
concerned
room
about-
of.
Yeah, big time. What, Alden?
Concerned about solar flares, honestly, just in general, just like it doesn't take much, and we're so just fragile, honestly, as a digital age kind of a problem.
Brian,
it wouldn't take a lot.
Yeah, you're right. Brian says, friendly reminder that we still haven't had PSC races for Georgia, and the appointed commissioners are still there. That is kind of crazy.
PSC?
For the listeners,
Public
these are
Service
the guys
Commission.
who are in charge of our powers of Georgia's power supply. It stands for the Public Service Commission.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's 5 people who just like centrally plan the power system.
There you go.
Useless individuals.
Well, except for the water, though. So I think hydro, they might have a little bit of a say in that, but we have the, what is it, MNG WPD, Municipal North Georgia Water Preservation District. There's like 17 counties in metro Atlanta, and they all dictate the water policy for the state, basically.
Goodness gracious. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know more about that than I do.
Well, yeah, back in the day, I was trying to get fluoride out of the water, and somebody tied to Aaron Brockovich put me onto that organization.
There we go.
Yeah,
Love it.
I don't know if you can see in the background now, but a couple of weeks after we had that 30-minute discussion about fluoride in the water, I got that big water filter behind me.
There you go.
Fluoride.
Which one did you get?
It's Berkey filters, but they're just kind of regular pans.
Is it reverse osmosis, or is it like
it's
gravity?
Silver impregnated ceramic, if I believe, if
Yes.
I'm correct on that one.
Oh, silver impregnated.
Yeah.
I really couldn't tell you. I just had my dad put a bunch of stuff in the Amazon cart. I bought it, and then he built it for me. So
Nice.
shout out to my dad.
Do you say ceramic like water just flowing through terracotta kind of thing? Like,
Yeah.
Because you can make a real cheap filter that just takes a long ass time out of just like terracotta pots that just levels of it, and it'll take out most things.
Interesting. All right. Well, we're going on to economics, y'all. We got
Heck yeah.
two things here.
There we go.
So I've been seeing a lot of this week. It says millennials hold 4.8% of all wealth. There are now 40-year-old millennials. At the same age, Gen X had 9% of wealth, and boomers had 21% of wealth.
That's like half and half again.
The largest generation in history did what the system told them to do and became the most educated in history. Now they're the poorest in history. And history might be a little much, but
Modern history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to back up a little bit on this, because this might go into a little bit of nerdiness with exactly how exponential growth works. And I'm sure Suhas knows even more stats about this than I do. But if you're talking about an economy that's continually not only getting larger, but getting larger at an ever increasing rate, you would kind of expect that the amount of wealth that's held by people that have been around for longer
This is boomers
go up and up as the total amount of wealth in the society was accelerating.
This is boomers at the same age, though. I think.
No, but even at the same age, like imagine we go back to 1400 and everybody's a poor farmer, and there's not really a lot of technological advancement going on.
Mm-hmm.
You would kind of expect that at the same age, each generation of person would have about the same amount of wealth as the next generation at that same age. But that's not the society we live in. We live in a society where since 1980 and since 1920, the amount of wealth has just continued to explode. And so the fact that that's happening,
So are you saying that the top
10%
10% is like making so much more that it's pulling it or something? Or
well, it's that as the total society keeps getting wealthier and wealthier, the amount of additional wealth that you would get by being in the society for longer would be higher and higher. Like I'm trying to come up with an example that makes sense. Like imagine if we were in a super wealthy society where like everyone became a millionaire after 5 years of working.
this is like the same.
People who had only worked for 1 year would have a very small proportion of the total wealth because that they haven't been around for long enough to enjoy the massive boom that everybody else got. Whereas if we were all like medieval farmers, you know, if you were working for 30 years, you still would not have been able to amass.
I mean, I get what you're saying. This is like the save a penny thing, and then but you double it, what you put in the piggy bank, and then you're a millionaire by the time you're 30 or whatever. Like the like exponential growth thing. Like,
yeah, here's the other problem. That kind of statement, like it somewhat falls into like the socialist way of thinking too, like with the tweet, because like the total amount of wealth and like the percentage differs. Like I would much rather have 5% of 1,000 than 28% of $100. And so you could have real inflation adjusted wealth increase generation by generation, even if the percentage is diminished over time.
But if everything else is just like growing with it too, then the 1,000, like in an inflation, would be the same as 100 at that time. It wouldn't really necessarily matter.
Well,
Let me just give
there's some underlying stats that aren't covered here, right? So what is the portion of the population in total of the boomers versus the millennials of the whole population at that time?
Yeah.
And then you're also looking at, the boomers, by the time they were 14, they already had a pack of smokes rolled up in their shirt sleeve, a wife and 2 kids at home, and they were working at the coal mine 50 hours a week. Nowadays it's millennials don't even want to get a driver's license. Jesus, they wait till they're 21 to drive or go get their first job.
Well, then right now,
I'm a millennial too, and I don't get it. There's
Zane falls under Zoomer, right?
Yeah, me and Suhas are technically Zoomers.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not millennials now at this point, but
the trend started a little bit under millennials, but I don't know. I got my license at 16, like a normal person.
Yeah, same.
Yep. Interesting. All right. Yeah, I get what y'all are saying. That makes logical sense in my head for sure.
Anecdotally, at least, I still can't afford a house. You know what I mean? Like I don't know where that fits into all we're talking about, but like I feel like
it just means you're lazy, Alden.
Yeah, well, it's partly true. It's part of the problem, but there are a lot of people though that are having a hard time with things that I don't think were as difficult.
Yeah, I think what like that statistic that we looked at might be misleading. It's not necessarily completely untrue as far as like what it is, what they're trying to say with it.
Like everyone's like talking about all the like different like percentage math and everything. I'm like anecdotally, I can't afford shit. Like I'm just saying, like I'm just here to say like something's up because I can't afford a cheeseburger and a house. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that every generation obviously has a set of issues that it needs to figure out how they're going to solve them.
Yeah.
And what's being colloquially known
too much SoCo,
cost of living crisis might be something that the millennials are needing to deal with here, but I don't think that the millennial generation is having to face a uniquely large amount of problems overall.
Gotcha.
Yeah, well, when we were growing up, our parents always said, "I'll give you something to cry about." And we thought they were going to spank us, but really they just crashed the housing market.
and got us into endless wars in the Middle East.
Right. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
30 trillion in debt.
Here's some more economic stuff. I found this interesting. Let me know y'all's take on it. Zach, go ahead and hit
Something
play.
just happened to the money supply that hasn't happened since the Great Depression, and almost no one's talking about it. Let's look at it. You'll want to watch this one till the end. This is the chart of M2 money supply. What is M2 money supply? M2 is a measure of money supply that includes cash, checking deposits, and non-cash assets that can be easily converted into cash. Now that we're on this, let's go back. I want you to look at all the times you see the dips below this line right here. You see, it's only happened a number of times, and this chart goes back to the 1800s. Here we are today, but what are these dips? They are the other times M2 went under zero and into negative, which is what's happened now. And it's only happened 4 other times in history. Here they are. Panic of 1873, long depression, 14% unemployment. Panic of 1893, 18% unemployment. Depression of 1921, 11% unemployment. And of course, the big daddy, Great Depression, 25% unemployment. Now, where are we again today? We're right here at -4. Now, our unemployment rate hasn't gone up yet, but -4. Wait a minute. What were we in the other 4 times this happened? -2, -2, -2, -12. If unemployment starts rising,
Well,
I'm not sure I understand what this guy is trying to say, because it really sounds like he's saying that deflation is bad, but actually most of the time deflation is good.
Well, he's corresponding retractions in M2 monetary supply with financial crises.
Yeah, he's saying there's no money, no money, no jobs equals bad.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying. I remember reading a report from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics about a year ago, and because I was just looking for arguments, go figure. And it was projecting the Gen Z labor participation rate 10 years from now, and they're saying they're estimating it's going to decrease about 5% from where it currently is in the next 10 years. So Gen Z is
going to be quite apathetic.
They're either going freelance or they're just going to ride coattails for their life. I don't know.
I mean, I like freelance. That's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, you got nobody to answer to but yourself.
Darn right. Yeah. All right. Well, y'all, let's go into the funny stuff if y'all are cool with it.
Funnies.
No, not at all.
No? Yeah? All right.
We have to stay depressed.
Zach, we're going to skip the last 2 because one of them is super depressing and creepy, and the other one is super depressing. So we're not going to end on those 2.
Well, Grumpy's talking about, he was just in El Paso. The police just assume everybody's a ranch worker or undocumented worker. Under the fair tax, there would be no such thing as an undocumented worker. You get these, illegals, drug dealers, prostitutes. If they consume here, they pay into our tax base. Bam.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's none of those, they took our jobs. Yeah, ain't none of that because everybody's paying into it.
Jobs.
No, it's an interesting point.
Yeah. All right. I've got 5 videos. We're definitely going to get dinged for one of them, but we're going to watch it anyway because it cracked me up. So here we go. There's a guy trying to turn off lights in a hotel room.
Oh my god. Nick Margazzi has a great skill about this one too.
That's pretty funny. And I just lived this recently when I went to a wedding in St. Pete, and I was really drunk and I had a really hard time getting it done.
I mean, it's absolutely true. It happens, especially Holiday Inns for some reason. They just have the light switches, like a million light switches in different places that all operate the same lights.
The switch for the bulb in the front area is sometimes in the bathroom, and the switch for the bathroom is and the switch for the above your head is over by the dining. Whatever. It's so stupid.
Brian Allen says check for hidden cameras. 100% correct, Brian.
Oh, that's creepy.
Check for hidden cameras in hotel rooms. They're everywhere now. It's weird. All right.
Here is every perfect 10 out of 10 trilogy. Number 1, The Lord of the Rings. Thank you for listening. Here-
Dude, we're literally doing Lord of the Rings Thanksgiving next week, and we're gonna have meals paired with the scenes and everything.
I love that, dude. That's awesome.
Are you doing the extended edition?
Oh yeah, it's the only way.
Okay, so that's a 14.5-hour marathon right there.
Oh, it's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just basically all day. We're gonna take poop breaks.
Right on.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So one movie per day?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not how real men do it, but that's okay.
Yeah, it all has to happen on one day or you're weak.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
weak then, I
triathlon.
guess.
That's not a
I'm
marathon.
the one that's got to cook the food. I need some time. Like
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh, I can't believe you're so weak that you can't sit down for 9 hours.
I'm so
14
weak I
hours.
can't watch 14 hours in a row, and I'm so lazy I can't afford a house.
All right, here we go.
Yelling at me about something I can't control, and they bully us about it. They took away straws in California. They made them illegal in some states to serve. It's insane. No one asked for proof. No one was like, why are you doing this? And they threw away. They go, turtles. Turtles are dying. And we just were like, oh, okay, seems reasonable. Does it? Where? Where are all these turtles? I'm almost 40. I've seen 6 turtles my whole life. You're telling me millions of turtles are dying with straws lodged in their heads? Where? Show me the shells. Show me the shells. And I'll stop using them. I don't buy it. I'm not a smart man. But that math does not add up. The physics on that is crazy. Ocean big. Ocean big. Big ocean, yeah? Ocean big. Straw float. Turtle move. Tide strong in ocean big. Ocean big. Turtle move. Tide strong. Straw float. You're telling me all these elements line up perfectly for a straw to get in a less than 5 millimeter hole in a turtle's head? That's like me flicking a Q-tip in the air and catching in the tip of my penis. Why are you?
You've never done that? Like,
oh, it's so good. And he's totally right. They've sold this whole no straws thing based off like one video and one photo of one turtle.
It was like an elementary school kid's project.
What?
They ran with it.
What?
Well,
Yes.
hey, you can't really knock that though, because that's where we got the
I will
most
find a
royal bloodline
citation
theory.
on that, but that's where it started. It started with one elementary school project, and then it blew up into a giant media frenzy. And now they're saying the chemicals used in the adhesive to hold the paper straws together is a lot more toxic.
like
than
worse
plastic
than the
straws.
yeah.
Shocker.
Right.
I mean,
And
Well-
they're wrapped in plastic.
what do you even
they're
need a
wrapped
straw
in
for?
plastic when you get them.
All
Yeah.
I'm saying is that Happy Feet, pure liberal propaganda.
Happy feet.
You know the scene with the penguin who got his head stuck in that 6-pack wrapper?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Here we go.
You only need them for milkshakes anyway.
True. Even then, sometimes they're milkshakes
It's a
are too thick.
Spoon, you know.
Yeah, you gotta spoon it. All right, 2 more.
You know, the key to a happy marriage is simple communication. So the next time your wife is upset with you, giving you the silent treatment, and you can't quite figure out why, simply grab her some coloring books, set them down next to her, and let her know that she's acting like a child because she can't use her big girl words to tell you what's really going on. She'll clearly understand that you're correct and draw you a pretty picture. Write that down.
It works. I did it with Nikki. She.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she agrees. She loves coloring books and being told that.
What'd
sitting
she
right
draw
there.
you?
Oh, yes.
You need to
Yes.
share, show and tell these drawings.
Oh goodness.
I've passed a cape out of a Halloween costume before and been like, "Here, now you're super mad."
That's
went
good.
well.
That's a
Yeah.
good one though. That's really good. I like that. All right. Last one. And yeah, this is the one that we'll probably get a strike for because I think this is Netflix, but we'll just cancel it out of the video version.
I'm surprised with this. You can't be surprised football players are violent. First of all, their job in and of itself is attempted murder. Like, that's their job. Like, football roster is basically like 2 guys that can catch, 2 guys that can throw, kicker, punter, 40 murderers. Like, whenever I read a headline like Ray Rice punches girlfriend on elevator, all I see is like, football player does football at the wrong time. It's their whole life. It's like they get trained from the time they're little kids. Like, go to practice, do football, go to the game, do football, be with your girlfriend, do football. Shit, I wasn't supposed to do football that time. I was supposed to do elevator, and I did football.
Thought those were great.
I think I've seen that special a while back. Neil Brennan's pretty cool.
Neil Brennan's funny. He's a funny dude. Well, everybody, thank y'all for hanging out. I had a blast tonight. This was great. If you want to get in touch with us, if you want to come on the show, if you have somebody you know that wants to come on the show, shoot us a message. I'm the Jake Green on Twitter. We've got LP Georgia. You can shoot us a message on there. Aladdin and Steven don't do much on social media, so don't even bother messaging them.
If you can find me, like, good on you, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. Suhas, you got anything you want to shout out before we get out of here?
No, not really.
All right.
Thanks for coming back, man. We didn't scare you away forever.
Yeah, thank you.
No.
Loved it.
Steven might have a little bit.
Nick, you got anything up in PA we need to know about before we leave?
Nope.
Beautiful. Y'all are just making it so easy on me.
Well, what about Schuylkill County? Because that was the Bastion of Liberty just a few years ago. How did we fare up there?
And where? Oh.
In where?
County?
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a guy running for county commission in Schuylkill. I don't think he won, but
all right. Well,
it's a good story.
We can learn more about that next week because I'm gonna get a list of candidates that won and all that kind of stuff, so we can talk about them. Zach says, "How do we join the cult?" You go to lpgeorgia.com and you can join our little cult of 320 members here in Georgia.
Buy some merch.
Buy some
so
merch.
Everyone knows you're in the cult.
Come to the convention, watch a presidential debate. It's going to be a good time. So, everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We love doing this show. We look forward to seeing y'all next week at 8 p.m. And make sure to tune into the Free Georgia podcast Mondays at 8 p.m. We'll see you later.